This is Gun Cranks.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America. I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat, and this is the Gun Cranks. How was that, guys? Was that like professional?
How do you know we're a Mr. or a Mrs.? Seriously.
Oh, that's right. There's 4,700 new genders now. So whatever you are, whatever banana slug you claim to be, we welcome you to the Gun Cranks. As I said, I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat, along with American Handgunner editor Tom McHale, and our special assignments editor and the guy that rides herd on us, Roy Huntington. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Whenever you say hello, gentlemen, I always have to look behind me because I'm terrified somebody came in the room I don't know about, you know. So, but we're past that now. All right.
Well, and I forgot too, on a recent Guns Magazine podcast episode, I talked to Tom McHale and I introduced him as Will Smith's slap fighting coach, and he's good with that.
Only on the weekends. So
that's old news now, I guess, but. Come on, you're in front of millions of people. You're an action hero guy. Go up and hit a guy instead of slap him silly. Anyway.
That was amazing.
Gentlemen, you know what? Plastic guns are dead. They just are. I'm an official gun journalist, and I've said it. Plastic guns are dead, right?
Okay, we're done with the show then. Yeah. I mean, yeah. What the heck?
I'm going to disagree with that.
Of course you will.
Because I prefer plastic guns because how else do you get through metal detectors?
Because they're invisible.
Did you?
They're invisible too, don't forget.
We're going to have to edit that part of it out. No, seriously, metal guns are kind of staging a comeback, and we're talking about concealed carry, self-defense type of handguns. And Roy, you pointed that out, that metal is making quite a resurgence. So are we going to see that headline now? Are plastic guns dead?
I hope so.
Oh,
just because it'll keep them on their, on their edge. I think there are excellent plastic guns out there, and I don't want the SIG fanboys and the Glock fanboys to, come and make nasty comments. But to me, a polymer pistol has always been more of a tool than something to treasure and show off to my friends and all that. Hey, look at my new plastic gun.
Well, I think you're kind of a tool. So, and let me tell you why. I have, and I won't say the maker because I could get in trouble, but I have a metal gun and a plastic gun from the same manufacturer, and guess which one outshoots the other? Tool.
Now, I'm not saying that a plastic gun isn't a good gun, because it is a good gun. But yeah. I think it's part of it is that I'm one of those old guys. What do they call us? Fuds. And I mean, the guns I have in my safe, I confess, I do not have an engraved polymer pistol. All of my engraved guns happen to be made out of actual metal. And
you don't have a soldering iron? Come on, man.
I don't know. You could do it with a soldering iron. I know what you mean. Hey, I'll show you my new gun.
You're handy. You got all the workshop skills. Come on.
Have you seen all those internet videos and photos of the Glocks that get chewed up by dogs? It's usually a pit bull. It says, hey, I just got my new Glock, and he's holding up his chewed up. That doesn't happen to my 5-inch 1911. So I don't know.
No,
let's start a fist fight. I'm not saying that polymer pistols are bad, but it is interesting to see the resurgence in steel guns. And that gun we were talking about was that new Smith & Wesson CSX. There's an aluminum frame gun. I just shot it yesterday and made a video. And I got to tell you, I mean, there's a feeling that's different with them. Brent, what do you think?
Well, I'm kind of both ways on this, but I was going to ask you the question. No, not like that, Tom.
It's children's hour. Sorry, folks.
It is. And we'd like to welcome our new producer, Nick. He's just shaking his head in the background going, what have I
signed on for? His first and last day.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he's filling out his resignation because I'm seeing he's writing something. So
he seems like a smart guy, so he probably is. But no, seriously.
I'm sorry, kind of. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you guys, this falls into our realm as quote-unquote gun industry experts. It's undeniable we're seeing a resurgence of metal semi-auto handguns. Why is that? Do consumers want it? Have we just decided this is the next new fad and we need something new? Or is there something inherently better? And I can see answers on all those questions going both ways.
Well, it's because of global warming.
Who
Plastic is made from petroleum. So
Yes.
if you want to be environmentally conscious, then metal guns all the way.
Like a Tom
Well,
McHale.
You know, for me, and I'll tell you what, I noticed it yesterday when I was shooting that new Smith & Wesson, is that your average polymer pistol, factory stock one that you get out of the factory, has a trigger pull that it's difficult to really quantify to me, but I call it's kind of spongy. You know what I mean? They're they're universally like that. Now, some are better, some are worse, but they generally don't come from the factory with that crisp break that you can often see with all steel guns. And from what little that I can understand about it, now you can ameliorate some of that. You get an Apex trigger kit and drop it in your, Springfield something, and it does really help a lot. But part of the reason why it helps is rigidity. And with an aluminum or steel frame gun, you have a steel frame that doesn't flex or warp or move. So when you have the internal action parts in there and they're pinned in with good quality steel pins, if they're good action parts, they tend to stay that way. They stay in alignment. And so with a polymer gun, there is kind of a microscopic level of flex. So it is more challenging to get that classic glass rod trigger break. And I think for guys like me, with my nose up in the air, that's part of the enjoyment, is a really nice trigger on a gun. And so, that's why I look at polymer pistols. It's like, do I carry one? Absolutely. I have an LCP Max and a Hellcat. They're my daily carry guns. But when it comes time to enjoy shooting, I generally will reach for a metal framed handgun. That's just my take.
That's an interesting point you bring up about the flex, because have you kind of noticed, and in ballpark over the past maybe 2 years, a lot of the polymer gun companies have been extending the internal frames?
Yep.
I'm trying to remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Mossberg did it.
Yep.
And I think Smith & Wesson might have done it on their newer 2.0 models. Am I right on that? Do you remember?
Yeah.
But I know a number of companies have done that specifically to kind of keep a little flex in the grip, but try and rigidify, is that a word?
It is now.
The frame a little. Yeah, it's a word today. So,
Well,
but
I
just now thought of that while you were talking, that's a lot of companies have been doing exactly that. So.
It's the truth. Well, yeah, and you look at a Glock, you look at any gun that doesn't really have that internal metal subframe thing going on. I shot the new Savage Stance pistol here just a day or two ago, and it's got a little chassis inside. And so I think that's a way to do it. But I think you still end up with a plastic pistol that's got a metal chassis inside. And to me, it's not as aesthetically pleasing as a metal frame. Even the Smith & Wesson CSX, which between us girls, I think really stands for Chief Special CS. That's, I'll bet you what that means. Because they don't really tell you what it
Extreme.
means. Yeah, Chief Special Extreme. But when I picked it up at the gun store and I opened it up and I picked it up in my hand, it just felt different. I just went, there's a certain, maybe it's a subjective feeling, but it just felt more definitive. That it was more rigid. It felt like it was settling into my hand a little firmer. And it could be completely in my imagination. I'll be the first to admit that. But I think it begs some more testing. So I don't know.
I did want to highlight, and I rarely disagree with Roy, but as he said, his daily carries, the Hellcat and LCP, sorry. So isn't that proving the point, though? If you daily carry a polymer, the thing I definitely, above all else, like polymer is they're certainly more corrosion resistant than a steel gun, obviously. And if you're carrying a gun every day, all the time, and as Tom will point out, when you're in the South and humidity is 460%, I'm not against all metal guns. Lord knows I've got many of them, and I carry them. But I do the same thing. I tend to find a polymer gun on my hip day in and day out.
I will say both of my guns have custom triggers installed to make it a brisker, more short trigger. And if I'm going to go handgun hunting, I can't imagine taking a 6-inch, 10-millimeter polymer frame something, to go on a deer hunt. I'm going to take an all steel gun. I'm going to take a single action something, or, I think it's just to suck as much possible enjoyment out of the experience, if that makes sense. But I look upon polymer guns as I look upon the $5 socket sets, which I've used as an analogy before, is that they're really handy to have. They get you back home when you break down in your pickup truck. They're always there. They don't break the bank, because we all can say that polymer pistols are usually more affordable than a similar, all metal CNC machine gun. And so, I don't know. I don't think that you say polymer, I don't say that to demean them, but I say that I think it's a different class. But I could be completely wrong. Yeah.
Well, I was going to throw one out to you guys. We're all gun journalists at reputable magazines. Are we going to see the great metal versus polymer shootout? Because hearkening back to the great 9mm versus 45, the ultimate man stopper challenge. Maybe we ought to do that with metal and polymer and really get this thing started.
How about this? All right, how about this? If you had to keep one handgun that you have now, would it be a metal frame or all metal handgun, or would it be one of your polymer pistols?
Metal.
Metal.
You made me come clean, because earlier when I disagreed with you, I was only disagreeing because it's fun. But I carry mostly metal. I just like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a polymer guy.
So keep a polymer pistol would be your only pistol that you had.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, and there are good reasons for it.
Yeah.
I will say...
But I completely agree with what you guys are saying about metal pistols. So that's why, Tom, I'm kind of both ways on this. I'm not binary.
You can't have it all.
Tom says shooters are always binary. It's always this or this, and it's a great big world out there with full of shades of gray. So
I know, and to wind this up, I think I'm wagering that I'm speaking for all of us when I say we don't dislike polymer pistols. I've got a bunch in my safe. I know the guys do too. I know whoever's listening and watching this probably does too. They're not bad, but I just think that we have to acknowledge that there are some differences here. And there's a reason why a 5-inch all-steel match grade 1911 feels the way it does, And so there's another reason why I have a LCP Max polymer pistol, in my pocket right now. So they all have use, but I think it's good to hash it out every once in a while, by golly. Right, guys?
And that's what we do the best here at Gun Cranks. So to our viewers, what do you like? Are you a polymer fanboy? Do you hate plastic? Or do you hate metal? Post a comment. Let us know what you think, because I'm interested to hear. Because like Roy said, we always try and hash this out, but truly we never reach the conclusion because we're not that important. We'd like to hear what you guys think. So anyway, we'd like to thank you for joining the Gun Cranks. Please check out our websites. That's gunsmagazine.com and AmericanHandgunner.com, AmericanCop.com, and we also have special interest publications. Turning it over, Tom McHale. Talk about those.
Yeah, be sure and check out our quarterly specials. Surplus just came out, and we're about to release the DIY Gunsmithing 2022 issue, so keep an eye on the websites.
Yeah, and I know Tom's been working on that, and it looks really, really cool. So we all like to tinker and tear stuff up, so make sure you check that out. Well, anyway, I think we've said about everything we need to say. Again, make sure you subscribe to us. Drop us a letter. That can be editor@gunsmagazine.com or editor@AmericanHandgunner. Make sure you post a comment, subscribe, and build a small religious shrine to the Gun Cranks in the corner of your gun room. So on behalf of Tom McHale and Roy Huntington, I'm Brent Wheat. Let's get out there and get shooting.